I'm going back to New York, New York, New York, New York. Wait, no, I was going to do that a little better. Wait a second. Let's see. I'm going back to New York, New York, New York, New York. Let me stop. Let me stop. All right. Okay, I'm back. You already know. Yo, the feds was following me. They ain't do that good. Yeah, so we came back to the States. Damn, it's brick. It's brick in Brooklyn. You already know. Don't know what to do much about that. But we have another podcast. We completed our 3 months. You know, we got out in time for the visa to expire. Technically, next time I should probably just sneak out. You know, go to Kenya, come back in, get my new visa. You know, keep it square, keep it 100. But yeah, it was a nice time. Low key. Uh, Someone said I say low key every episode. But anyway, low key. Not working is not that good. So that's the thing about the visas that you can't work in the country. Um, Not working not that good. So definitely what my new plan is to have more passive income. Okay? That's my new plan. Like just to make a lot of passive income so that I don't have to be there. You get what I'm saying? Because the thing is the money situation in Tanzania. I like Tanzania. I like it. I like it. The money situation is not great though. You know, not even for the people there. That said, because it's not good for the people there, like it's better to just make your money passively. You know, if you could make it in the West, because the thing is, you don't have to be in the West to make your money passively. You just have to do you just have to sell to Westerners. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to physically be in the West. It's like I was saying, like on my way out of here, this British man was behind me. He looked like he was Russian, so I was going to ask him about about am I flying to my death? But he was a British man. He was like, no, you ain't. You fine. I'm like, yeah, okay, motherfucker. What you know? But yeah, this white boy, he gonna yeah, he said he was there for Tanzania for just a week. He didn't learn the language, nothing like that. He was just there for a week because he got a pipeline. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing that white folk can do in Tanzania is do the pipeline stuff. But anyway, let's see if anybody. So, am I going on the right time? Yeah, 11 a.m. Shit, this sucks, boys. This sucks. This temperature sucks. This cold weather, like I don't know how y'all do this. I turn on the water. Look here, I turn on the water, and freezing water comes out. What does that even make sense? Like freezing water. Like I don't know. You know, technically I'm supposed to like when I turn on the water, it's supposed to run a little bit, and then hot water come out. That don't make no sense. Like in Africa, that wouldn't make no damn sense. Freezing water just coming out. It's crazy, man. I don't know. I don't know who volunteers to be here, but I mean, except for me, I guess, right? But yeah, it's week 12. Let's see. What do we have? Oh, okay. So week 12. So I some of this stuff is when I was in Tanzania. Some of this is when I was traveling out of Tanzania. Some of this is while I'm here in America. This is what I saw. I tell you, man, Americans. So when you're in Tanzania, not actually, there's an observation I want to make a little later, which is how we are in the West bombarded with news. Now, I don't know if I cannot say definitively whether Tanzanians are or aren't bombarded with news, because I didn't speak the language. So I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what it is really culturally there. But here, we are bombarded with news. I realize in retrospect that a lot of my time in America normally is just catching up with news. And news does not have to just be current events, like in the sense of CNN and MSNBC and Fox News or whatever. News could also mean when this next video game is coming out, when this video game is getting updated, when the new season starts, when the season ends. The ranking season. That's the video game talk, right? But beyond that, you could say when the new. How many new planets were discovered in astrophysics? What new neuroscience developments are there? What new artificial breakthroughs artificial intelligence breakthroughs are out. Okay, what is being engineered and where, what deals were made, what these sort of things are a constant thing inside of the Western lifestyle. Every fast, the new iPhone is coming out. Even like if you watch football, you got the next game is this week. The season is over, but the season's coming back. And even on the off season, there's the off season game. There's the this, that. There's something to, like, if you have any sort of interest in the West, right? There is something new and developing nearly every week. It depends on what you're talking about. Because like I said, with football, maybe there's an off season, right? Then you can look forward to it. But then, of course, when the off season football come through, you got basketball or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, there might be some off, but then like I said, even the TV series, the next episode of I can't remember that girl's thing, Quintessence. I don't remember her name either, but some sister had a show. Oh, Abbott Elementary. Next season of Abbott Elementary is coming out. The development for that. Oh, here's some breakthrough scenes for that. There's this constant need to engage you in something new and developing, or just something. You have Netflix, and then all of a sudden it's like, we got 4 new shows coming next month, and oh man, we got 4 new shows coming out the month after that, whatever. That's the life that, because I realized I was very digital when I was in America, right? When I went to Tanzania, I was not digital. You know what I mean? Like I sometimes my brother would tell me something, and I'd be like, I'd ask him a question. He's like, why don't you Google it? I'm like, what, Google? You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna do Google for? I'm not digital. You know what I'm saying? In Tanzania, you would engage people, and like all your news and breakthroughs and developments were pretty much interrelated. Like it wasn't anything outside of you. It wasn't like I said, I didn't speak the language, so it wasn't the artificial intelligence breakthroughs. It wasn't the astrophysics. It wasn't the biology or medicinal. It wasn't that. Now again, like I said, I didn't speak the language. So ignorance is bliss. And it kind of reminds you of the Eleanor Roosevelt quote where she says, small minds talk about people. I think it's middle minds or normal minds. I don't know. Talk about events, and then great minds talk about ideas or something like that. Technically, news and all that is really events. So I don't know if that's I don't know if I mean, it seems appropriate, but I mean, I can say that I'm coming back to this news thing, and I realize that a lot of us, particularly like if you want to be famous in the social media sphere, because that's the thing I always knew, that if I wanted to be a little bit more relevant in the social media sphere, I would have to engage current events. Now, I did try that last year with the thing, and I wasn't really more relevant anyway, because I'm probably already blacklisted like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just blacklisted, I'm African listed. You know what I'm saying? So, there's that. But beyond that, it's like, yeah, I mean, the news and development thing, that's a real thing, a real observation that I wanted to point out before we get started. And I'm going to go a little bit more into it. But anyway, so what I saw so one thing that happens in America is that you always have another story of police brutality. You know what I mean? Like, you always have another story. So like I said, in Tanzania, first off, you don't have police brutality like that, right? Second of all, it just wouldn't be a story. Like it just don't blow up. Now, granted, I wasn't watching the news, so I don't know. But it really just, like I said, every day felt like every other day. Like, because I could say this, like I said, in America, you could be like, when's the next, like you could be a fan of, let's say, anime or Rick and Morty, or it's a cartoon, or like let's say Dungeons and Dragons series or whatever, right? All of this shit is on like a weekly calendar. They're coming out certain dates. You have to keep in mind all that kind of stuff. Abbott Elementary is coming out in November on Thursday at this time, and so Thursday felt unique. Because it was like, that's Abbott Elementary Day. Tuesday felt unique because that was your whatever anime day. Your, let's say, Attack on Titan day. I don't know, right? That there each day felt unique in Tanzania. Like again, now it could, like I said, I'm gonna keep going back to it. I didn't know the language, so I didn't really catch up with anything. But that kind of life where every day was a new day, but the same day. You know what I mean? It was, what am I going to eat today? And it was nothing special. Like even now, like when I came back to America, I was I forgot my toothbrushes. Shit, boy. Now I wasn't going to eat without getting, toothbrushes, right? It's brick outside. Still, I'm not putting on a jam jacket, so I go jogging outside in like jammies pretty much to go get me some toothbrushes. I'm jogging and I pass by this spot and I'm like, oh yeah, they give that good mac and cheese on Sundays. You know what I'm saying? Like even restaurants will say, oh, here's a special day, Sunday. Sunday's a special day. Or even like when I was running by, like I saw some of the stores were closed and I was like, oh yeah, it's fucking Sunday. Like Sunday's unique. Now granted, in Africa, well, in Ghana particularly, Sunday was unique too. I didn't really notice it in Tanzania. I'm not saying that it wasn't unique, but I like wasn't really paying attention, like low key. Like cause I was just, I was just balling low key. But anyway, but yeah, like everything is and that's something that I think is that you could either use that for your own benefit, be like, hey, you know what? If I want to engage my audience, I want them to know that something like this is happening every week. Kind of like how, I guess I do this every Sunday, but kind of like how Bitter Medicine does his thing every Saturday, And he's like, Saturday night, shoot the breeze. Saturday night, shoot the breeze. Everybody on KWAZ radio really does something weekly. But like I said, Bitter Medicine, just Saturday night, shoot the breeze. And hey, it's Saturday night, let's go shoot the breeze. You know what I mean? Like that's I'm just saying, like, that it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile to do that. I'm gonna tell y'all this. I was playing this video game, and what they would do is they would release a patch every 2 weeks on, I don't remember what day, but it could have been like Thursday. Like every 2 weeks on Thursday, they'll release a patch so that everybody's talking about the different patch coming up on Thursday. Patch just basically means they're gonna change the fucking game, change the balance of the game so that you should now play a different character in order to have a better win rate. They're going to make some characters weaker, some characters stronger. Every 2 weeks they do this because they're trying to balance it. Now you would think, hey, look, if I were trying to balance it, I would just balance it and then no more patches, right? Wrong. You see what I'm saying? Because when you change the game slightly every 2 weeks, right? People keep interested. You see? People stay interested. Whereas if you don't change the game at all, if you say, hey, look, it's balanced, leave it alone, what happens is this: it gets repetitive and boring. You know what I'm saying? It gets repetitive and boring. Even if it's perfectly balanced, because one thing is, one suspicion is this, that it's not going to be perfectly balanced because you can't perfectly balance it. But let's say you can perfectly balance it, right? Even when it's perfectly balanced, what happens? What would happen then is that it would just become the same game. But when they change it, when they slightly change it, when they slightly tune it, it's different. Now this person's trending. Now this item is better. Now this is that. It's I'm thinking of a particular game, and I don't want to say it, but some people will know what I'm talking about. But like I said, like I think it's a really interesting dynamic that the West has, in so much as they continually change the like they continually do things of that nature to keep people interested, and we stay interested. I when I was in Tanzania, I disconnected, but we stay interested. Brother Bakari's here. Peace and Black Power to Brother Bakari. He might join us this week again. I'm back in the U.S., so you already know it's cold. Thinking about heading to another state, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, let's see. So I can't show you guys my screen because I'm not on. Wait, can I show my screen? Hold on. No. Oh, I could. Shit. Should I? Let me see what this says. It's easiest with two monitors. Yeah, it's probably better with two monitors, like they said. Let me not even. But anyway, there's this comment on Twitter. This person writes, how is it that they have a picture of Thai food and Thai food, like two Thai food restaurants next to each other, next to a donut inn on 10th Street East. I don't know where 10th Street East is, but the assumption is that this is in a black neighborhood. Two Thai food restaurants in a black neighborhood. So she writes, how is it they have small businesses in our neighborhood and we can't get loans to open these same types of stores? They don't even live in our communities, but they set up shop and siphon all our resources into their coffers. Our elected officials are to blame, right? Okay. And look. Look, technically you could blame your elected official, right? But technically also, right? Like who else is to blame for you going to another person's restaurant? And then how do you sound asking another person to build you up? How do you sound doing that? You know what I mean? It's like for instance, I'll say it this way, right? Like let's say if I, like matter of fact, I took this expensive trip, and then I said, man, you guys are the blame. You guys are to blame for me, running, spending a lot of money. It's like, no, I mean, you got to take your own accountability. You have to have your own responsibility. And that's really one of the most important things in this world is for you to just sometimes say, I'm responsible for me. You know what I mean? Like you're not a child. Unless you're somebody's child, you have to say, I'm responsible for me. And by child, I mean like you are a child, and yeah, unless you're a child, you're responsible for yourself and your own decisions and your own outcomes. I'm not saying that nobody could do nothing to you. I'm not saying like, look, I'm walking down the street and somebody slaps me across the head with a baseball bat. Obviously, if I fall down, that's all. That's not just on me. It's a motherfucker with a baseball bat, sure. And I'm not saying that this white boy don't got a baseball bat to your head, but here's the thing. There's a difference between you getting slapped aside the head with a baseball bat randomly, don't know what's going on, and there's a difference between you knowing damn well that somebody's on down that alley with a baseball bat and you walking there anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, fuck you, man. Like, you see the motherfucker with the bat. And he's like, as soon as you walk past me, I'm going to slam you in the head with this. And you're like, man, look, I'll walk past you. Don't give a fuck what you going to do. Right? There's a big difference. I mean, sure, you could technically still say, look, man, that motherfucker with the bat hit me down. And that's true. But you have to be responsible for yourself and say, hey, look, man, if I know for damn sure that they swinging baseball bats in this area, I'm not going. I'm not going. It's like matter of fact, I remember when I before I went to Tanzania is really, really, really safe, particularly where I went, Dar es Salaam, right? But my son's mother was sending me things like, you got to watch out at the border of Mozambique because there's a terrorist cell. There's some sort of terrorism shit going on there. And I'm like, why the fuck would I be at the border of Mozambique? Like, why the fuck would I be in the border of Mozambique when I'm going to Tanzania? Like, of course, I will. But if I did go to the border of Mozambique, you best believe, right, that even though somebody might do me harm, I have some responsibility too. I have some responsibility too. Even for instance, when I was in Dar es Salaam, there's one place, Kariako. I showed you guys a video of Kariako, right? And yeah, I'm using StreamYard, so I can't show you guys videos right now, but I'll probably show you guys videos later. I had to upload them and all that shit, so I'm not gonna do that right now. But even when I was in Kariako, this lady was I'm walking with my son. I usually don't hold his hand, and they're like, "Look, hold his hand because people snatch kids," And so I'm like, okay, and I hold his hand. Or even like they say that one thing that they do in Tanzania, or they did, I don't know, but they do it is they snatch phones. So like, let's say you sitting out in the car, you got your window wide open, and you texting on your phone, right? Somebody in a motorcycle could just reach into your car, take your phone, and drive off. You know what I'm saying? They take the risk to drive off. Understandable. So what I do is either I do not have my phone holding up to the window, Oh, I put the window up. You know? It's like you have to, with knowledge, like first off, you have to get yourself informed, and then you also have to be suspicious. You have to be suspicious. You have to be a little bit paranoid. You have to be a little bit more understanding of people's situations around you. And then you have to act accordingly and act intelligently. And if you're not doing that, then yeah, part of it is on you. So, like I said, the one thing I wrote, about this whole small businesses, why are they open small business? We can't get these loans, and the politicians, right? Okay, that's fine, right? The elected officials are not on your side. No shit, Sherlock. Like, no shit, Sherlock. But I said this, like, if any other ethnicity wrote this online, people would be embarrassed for them. But here in America, it's just Monday. It's just a Monday. Like for black folk to say embarrassing things about themselves is just a Monday. It's just a Tuesday. If somebody says something stupid today, it's just going to be Sunday. It's not going to be, it's not like, oh man, they said something stupid. It's a norm here. But anyway, let's keep going. We back in the US. So this sister was telling me about Kudanga. So this is actually pretty interesting. So she told me about this on Monday. No, let me see what date it was. On January 23rd. So I think that's a Monday. Let me double check. She told me this on January 23rd. And by the time I made it to Ethiopia, I was on the other side of this. But there's this thing called Kudanga in Tanzania. Kudanga, she said, was when people go somewhere to find a rich man, where they go out, I guess doll up, dress up, all that kind of stuff in order to find a rich man. And so I said, where would they? And she told me where they would go. She's like either the Hyatt Hotel or Serena Hotel, basically good hotels, right? 5-star hotels, good European hotels. Because I heard of the Hyatt Hotel, right? So if you go in Tanzania, you have the Hyatt Hotel. There's probably some women hanging out there looking for some rich men. And yeah, they pay. The rich men pay for sex and all that kind of stuff. Basically, like low-key prostitution, right? And yeah, all right. I'll go more into that later. So anyway, so let's see. Next day, I was like, this woman really woke me up at 2:30 a.m. to give her. Oh yeah, so I had this woman over, right? I did admit, those boys, I did have a lot of women. I did have a lot of women. Like maybe too many women. In retrospect. Nah, not in retrospect, but like real talk, I did have a lot of women. But anyway, so this one woman, I decided to. Here's the thing about women, though. Toss them. Like if you feel like, hey, she's not what I'm looking for, right? Just disengage. Try not to make any more plans, because that's one of the things that, like, if she's like, oh, please, I want to see you, I'll be different. Do not buy the bait. Okay? Don't buy the bait. It's almost never worth it. Like, in fact, it's never worth it. So this woman does not speak English. She's like, come on, baby, Nina Kupenda, I love you, I want to marry you, all that type of shit, right? But I'm just like, she doesn't speak English, and she's not even like the vibe I like, not that I need a woman who speaks English. I mean, I do, but not that I need a woman who speaks English, but like, she's not even the vibe. Like she's low-key crazy, like she was saying stuff like, oh, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself, what the fuck? Like what? Anyway, that kind of shit. Or like, like what? Anyway, I think I told you about that lady before. But yeah. So anyway, I invited her over because, like I said, I was leaving the country and I was gonna say bye to, at least the women that slept with me. The people who didn't sleep with me, I was like, hey, fuck you. I don't want to see you again anyway. Right? No, I didn't want to see them again, but I was like, I don't got time. I gotta fucking sleep with these women. All right, so this woman, like, she woke me up at 2:30 a.m. to give her a massage. Okay. Now, granted, I was tired because I was already tired before she showed up, right? She doesn't speak English, so I finally said, Nime choka, I'm tired. And she stopped and went to bed. My dumbass still up at 3:50 a.m. So I'm trying to tell you guys, look, either learn the local language or date English speakers. Don't do neither. You know, because like, yeah, she's just giving you massage, and you're just like, hey, I can't, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't know what you're fucking saying. You know, you have to be like Nime Choka, you know? But then it's already that she woke you up. It was, ugh. These people. Hold on a second. Somebody's calling me. Oh, I see. No. All right. Anyway, let me see what time it is. All right. So anyway, next one was Biden's father. Oh yeah. Somebody wrote something stupid like underpopulation. So I want to talk about how we kind of just fall for propaganda in a sense. So here's a common thought flying around that underpopulation is the real issue in industrialized countries, right? So they're talking about Japan. Japan basically recently published that their birth rate is lower than their death rate or something like that. And therefore, there's more people dying than being born, yada, yada, yada. The country has 127 million people, blah, blah, blah. Now, so somebody takes this and says, so see, underpopulation is what happens when you have industrialized countries. And it's like, look, and this is like the common thought, the common shared belief. And it's like, no, what you are seeing with Japan is called overpopulation. You understand? Overpopulation is the real issue in industrialized countries. Japan's population density is the 12th highest in the world. To say Japan is underpopulated is to ignore that 125 million people, 1/3 of the United States, population of the United States, lives on the tiny islands, and the islands aren't entirely habitable, right? Can you imagine that? They're like, hey, 1/3 of the United States population lives on these tiny islands. Apparently, the islands are about the size of California. Like Japan entirely is about the size of California, and yet it's 125 million people. California is like 40 million people, right? But also California is not a bunch of islands that are poorly, like that are not really habitable. You know. That said, yeah, it's not underpopulated. You know, like it's not underpopulated. What happens is that the population is just too fucking high, and that's what industrialized countries actually do. What industrialized communities do, or urban cities, what cities usually do is they have huge populations. That's really the problem. But of course, you know, because like I said, you know, logic here is backwards. You know, it is what it is. But let me go back to the StreamYard. If anybody has any comments, just let me know. I'm back in the US though. Can you imagine? This woman did the Dougie for me. That was the dopest thing I saw outside of a bedroom. Though admittedly, I was in a bedroom. I had to say it. All right. So hey, living in another country entirely. Oh, so Gnostic wanted me to explain this. So it might not be too clear. I'll try to clarify it here. But he says, living in another country entirely, I'll say my observations on the men of Tanzania is that generally they don't have the same masculinity you'd aspire to in America, but they don't have the femininity some American men have or the toxicity and largesse we deny exists in America. You know, I get the sentiment that toxic masculinity doesn't exist, but I also can see what is meant by male toxicity versus female toxicity. That said, I have heard of male abusers in Tanzania. It'd be worthwhile to do another sociological study on the country, funds permitting. Right. So I'm calling all my shenanigans sociological studies. You know, you know, even though they're just shenanigans. You know, you gotta, you know, that's what you have to do. You have to market yourself. You know, I want to point that out because, like I said, I know this fashion industry lady. She would just post shit that she's doing. You know, like she has WhatsApp statuses. She'd be like, "Look, I just checked into this hotel." You know, and blah 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 blah. You know, the pool is so nice, whatever. And it's like, look, lady, you do dresses, you help people with weddings. Why don't you just say, I'm looking into this hotel so that I could bring a nice, beautiful bride here or something like that? You know, like just fucking market yourself 24/7. You know what I mean? You know, like the motherfucker says, ABC always be closing. But so I'm like, look, man, I'm a fucking scientist. I'm a social scientist, right? If I'm doing some shenanigans, if I'm in the club partying and drinking, you know what I call it? I call it a sociological study. Because that's what the fucking sociological study is. You know, that's what science is. Science is going out and doing experiments and reporting the results. You know, comparing the results. That's what science is. Sure, you could do the lab coat and the controlled environment, or you could just be the motherfucker who goes there. In fact, I want to say this because I'm going to talk about these movies later. I was on the airplane for fucking 18, 19 hours, right? So that and like half the time my fucking TV didn't work, but eventually it did. And I'm watching movies. I watched some of these Asian movies. I watched an African movie too. One of these Asian movies was going over the Japanese attempt to make a nuclear bomb. Okay, deep. But here's what happens. After the Americans beat them, they get one bomb in Hiroshima, one bomb in Nagasaki, right? They hear that there's going to be another bomb in Kyoto, right? They hear there's going to be another bomb in Kyoto. So one of the scientists who was working on trying to make the bomb, says, like an engineer, he's like an engineer working on ways to get the uranium spinning, the uranium 235 spinning at 10,000 RPMs. And they were close to like 30,000 RPMs or something like that, right? But anyway, after they get the bombs, he's like, look, I'm going to go to Kyoto and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go in the mountains and watch as the bomb detonates on the population there, because I'm a scientist. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm going to go sit first seat, take pictures of an explosion, of a nuclear explosion, like no other scientists can. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what scientists do. They Google, they do experiments, they make observations, they participate if they feel like that's the methodology they want to take. Anyway, so let me see if I can explain this quote though. So I said, living in this country. So yeah, about the masculinity. So they don't have the same masculinity. What's manly, and I'm not saying what's manly is different, but basically the men generally would not pass for manly. Okay, they would not pass for manly. Like me, I'm like, yo, I see this nice looking woman, I walk up, talk to her. That shit's cool. That's not a thing. Now, generally, look, I'll tell you the truth. That's not really a thing, even in America, but it's an expectation in America. Like we know that's what we're supposed to do. I'm not saying that. No. In fact, in Tanzania, I don't think this. Yeah, they feel like it's not even a thing. Like don't do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like the women don't even want you touching their butts in public. You know what I mean? Like yeah, in America, it's like, yeah, if I want to grab a woman's butt, I could do it. You know what I mean? Like if we're talking, I can grab a butt anywhere. She's like, oh, baby. You know what I mean? Like, but in time, it's like, what are you fucking doing? Like, even like trying to kiss a woman is like, no, don't kiss me, in public, they're like, oh, like I remember this woman, I was trying to kiss her and she was like, no, don't kiss me. People will take pictures. Like what the fuck? Anyway, but they also don't have the femininity. So like for instance, there's this video circulating right now about, asking HBCU men to name 5 African countries. And like one of these dudes, like he has long hair, he's like, let me think about that. Like that. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't even pretend, but you get what I'm saying. He's one of those. Like you don't have that in Tanzania. Like you don't have that type in Tanzania. And then, like I said, with regard to the toxicity, like I also didn't really see, I didn't get, again, I don't know the language, so I didn't really get too intimate. This one woman did tell me that she had a man who would beat on her. So it's not like that didn't exist, but generally speaking, the men were all kind of small, like just not like testosterone, like low testosterone, I would say. You know what I'm saying? Like how you can tell if a dude is low testosterone versus if he has high testosterone. Apparently, I was when I was in Ethiopia, I was looking like I was high testosterone. You know what I'm saying? And I'll talk to you guys about that later. But yeah, that kind of stuff. Like generally speaking, the men don't really have that. Anyway, so let's say so going back to New York. So so I have this little conversation I had. Some woman was talking to me. So this woman I was trying to kiss in public. She goes, my friend, her friends. I'm like, LOL, what? She says, I feel embarrassed. I was like, what? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, do I know her? She's like, yeah. She's like, apparently she's saying I know her friend. Right? No. She said that when she was bragging about me to her friend was like, oh, I know that guy. And so I'm like, what? And I'm like, who is she? She's like, I won't tell you. And I'm like, okay, I roll my eyes. She says, I was say this, my man, he likes me so much and I like him, but they say show me his photos. I said no. So I'm just like, did I sleep with this lady? Like the friend that the person, because she said somebody else knows me. So I'm like, did I sleep with her? And she goes, yeah, you fucked her. And I'm like, damn, boys. Like, so this is a big ass country. This is a big ass city. Apparently, I messed with some woman's friend. I like I said, I think I like low key, I probably can't stay in Tanzania. Like I can't stay in Dar es Salaam. I gotta you like sometimes if you get a reputation, I don't know. I do not know the book, the guy Don Juan or whatever. I don't know his story. Okay. What I can say is that I vaguely remember him being chased out, or even like there's this song Cotton Eye Joe, you know. I don't know if you guys know the song Cotton Eye Joe, but it's like if it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Right? I think that's the whole song, actually, honestly. But like I don't know the words. But something along the lines of like some dudes who go in, they they know how the ladies operate, what the ladies operate on, and they they GTD get the draws. Apparently, like I'm saying, like you. If you do it too much, you can get in big trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like you get in big trouble. Like like my thing is I'm not even I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to Dar. Check it out because a lot of women, like a lot of those women, some people say I should go get married. A lot of them want to marry me. You know what I'm saying? One of them just wrote me, "I love you," and I said, "I know." But anyway, that's a Star Wars line. All right, let's go on. Of course, the dog. I said, why I mess with the Ethiopian woman? So I was in Ethiopia for like, how long was I in Ethiopia? I was in Ethiopia for like, I want to say I was in Ethiopia for 10 hours, right? And this is nighttime. So I had to get 8 hours of sleep because I was supposed to leave 6 a.m. in the morning. I somehow messed with 2 Ethiopian women. Like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, I don't know what happened to me, man. I don't know what happened. And it's interesting, though. It's interesting, though. Okay? Why is it interesting? Is because before I came to Tanzania, right, on the airplane, I was talking to this brother, American brother. I think I'm going to go into this later. I was talking to this American brother. Oh, what happened was that my notes got all out of whack, too, because I was not online, because I was on the airplane. But I was on the airplane coming to Africa. There was this, and I was asking him, "Hey man, you're gonna be gone for 3 months. How do you deal with the lady situation? Because because that's one of the issues that I would have. If I had a girlfriend in America or a wife in America, well, a girlfriend in America, right? His brother didn't. He was like, he didn't have a wife. He said he had a girlfriend, right? If I have a girlfriend in America, right? How does that work if I'm traveling by myself to Africa? And he's like, "Oh, I got a girlfriend in Ghana, and I got a girlfriend in Tanzania, right?" And so I was like, "Wait a second." I was like, when he told me this, I was like, "Ugh, dude, like, how do you have more than one girlfriend?" You know what I'm saying? Because if y'all remember me, I'm just like polygamy, and even back then I was like polyamory. And remember, this is like me on the fucking plane to Tanzania. Okay, on the plane to Tanzania, I was like, ew, how could you deal with more than one woman? Right? Even when I was my last lady, before I travel, right? I was like, nah, polyamory, ew, how could a guy do that? Now, granted, I know about there's this code in America along the lines of how it goes. Oh, it's not cheating if they're different zip codes, something like that. I can't remember how it said, but it's like it's not cheating if it's different zip codes, and that's respectable. Well, of course, this guy's talking about a whole different country, right? And he also says, look, these women are free to do what they want to do. Now, granted, now I will point out that there's this brother who would tell me, hey, look, in terms of family building, you would not want, like, you would want to know whose child is whose, and you'd want your child to be, safe or whatever, right? In terms of family building. But as far as I know, like, I don't know if this brother was trying to have more kids. Like, if you're not trying to have more kids, if you're not trying to have any more kids or any kids, period, then, I don't really see the problem. Anyway, that said, yeah, I messed with 2 Ethiopian women. Now, granted, I think they were doing the Kadonga because I was in like a 5-star hotel and one of them worked there and the other one kind of just sat in the lobby waiting for, no, the one of them worked there, and then they told me that the other one, like the women that were sitting down in the lobby were for hire. So yeah. That said, I want to say this. If you're Christian, your God is weird as fuck if he's befriending prostitutes. You know what I'm saying? Although some brother was telling me that Mary Magdalene is made up by the Catholic Church, and she's not real. But that said, like, the whole idea of befriending, like, because these prostitutes are just dishonest. They're just a dishonest, money hungry bunch who will tell you anything. Oh, and they, pretty much will tell you anything. But it was an interesting, it was interesting to say the least. All right. So anyways, let's see. So now all this other stuff is kind of in a jumble. So I'm just gonna read it as is. Because what happened was that I was disconnected from, like, I was just writing notes. What I do is I put my notes on like a particular app that's connected to the internet. But when you don't have the internet, it could still save your notes, but it's probably going to upload them at a different time. So I'm going to say the first one was, so I watched 4 movies. Actually, I watched 5, but I'll only talk about 4 of them. No, I think I watched 6 or 7 of them, but the 4 main ones are like the Asian movies and the African movie, right? So the African movie, I said it was interesting, partly because so the order is actually too messed up. Let me see if I can find. Let me just see what I could. All right, so an Asian film that was done. So I was in the Ethiopian. I was at the airport in Ethiopia, and this cute Mozambique woman and I started conversing. I wanted to know if she was going to New York. She wasn't. So that's a last cause. Regardless, I got the number after a bit of a chase, and then I had this chat with her. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, so this is in Mozambique or whatever. I say, in French. I'm like, quand das je visiter le Mozambique? She goes, toi, tu pars où? I'm like, Mozambique, pour vous? And she's all, huh? The eye raise. I'm like, vous ne voulez pas un excellent mont? She goes, Jesus Marie. And I say, super. Nos conocen quel quan pour celle sauver les enfants. Voulez-vous un excellent mont? And she's laughing. And then, that's the end of our conversation. Because like I said, this was a lost cause woman. So a lost cause woman is a woman that you ain't really going to have to see again. You know what I'm saying? Because you're at an airport. She's flying west and she's flying east and you flying west. You know what I mean? Ain't no way, boy. You know what I'm saying? Like the chances, unless you like one of the frequent flyers, or unless she's a frequent flyer, chances of you two meeting is slim to none. One thing I want to say before I describe what this conversation is that there's this thing called shit tests in America. So shit test is when a woman says something to you, asks a question of you in order to test you. You know what I mean? Pretty much to disqualify you. And what you have to do when she's trying to disqualify you is show her why you're qualified. A classic example is this. A woman asks you how old you are. Now, you could tell her your age. You could say I'm 25. You could say I'm 34. You could say I'm 23. You could lie about your age, which is not something advisable. The other thing you could do is just tell her something that just diffuses the situation, like diffuses the question, diffuses the situation. So she says, "How old are you?" And you say, I might be young, but young people got energy. You know what I'm saying? Young people got energy. Or like for instance, what your man LL Cool J says. He says, "Them young boys ain't nothing." You want to get freaky? Let me kiss your belly button or some shit like that. You know what I mean? She asks you so that's your age. She says, "What do you do for work?" Right now, if you're not like a big shot baller or whatever, you just tell her you say, "Yo, I'm a garbage collector." You know what I'm saying? Like you just make up some bullshit. And be like, what's the fucking matter? And you throw her off, kind of thing. So anyway, so if a woman says, "Hey, look, I have a boyfriend," sometimes she's lying. Sometimes women wear fake rings to throw men off from trying to pursue them, that kind of stuff. And you have to pursue notwithstanding. Now, granted, if she's really married or she really has a boyfriend, and she likes him, your chances of getting through to her are slim. But like sometimes they just say it to like throw you off. So what this conversation was I said, when can I come visit you in Mozambique? Or like when can I visit Mozambique? And she's like, why would you go to why would you? Like, no, she's like, no, I said, when can I visit Mozambique? She goes, why would you? And I say, I go to Mozambique for you. And she has a question mark, like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, do you want an excellent lover? And she says, I'm married. So then I say, great. Now that means we know somebody who can watch the kids. Now, do you want an excellent lover? All right, whatever. Anyway, tough crowd. But that's like the lie you used to use when somebody says, I got a boyfriend. You say, well, great. We know somebody who can watch the kids. All right. Anyway, it's funny. Anyway, so that happened. Now tell me why. It is actually pretty interesting. Let me see if I could. Let me see. So, like I said, I didn't really fully understand it until I watched this Nigerian film. So I watched this Nigerian film and I kind of understood this brother better. Basically, I know this married guy who's Nigerian. So I said, interesting, a married acquaintance was infuriated by this joke. And I can concede the relationship beliefs I had against polyamory have waned since I went to Tanzania. The African-American I met who admitted to having a girlfriend in America, Ghana, and Tanzania initially disgusted me. Yet in Tanzania, I slept with a good number of women, many who would swear I was their boyfriend, if not their husband. There was actually this one woman who would walk into, I brought her to this hotel, and after I left, I left her in the hotel, and she was telling everybody, oh, that's my husband, that's my husband, that's my husband. Meanwhile, these guys knew I had another woman like 2 days prior. You know what I'm saying? Like they knew it. And then she's walking around, that's my husband. You know that guy, he's my husband. And I don't think I even talked to her again after that. I think I just ghosted her after, because first off, that sounded crazy as fuck. Second of all, like she wasn't all that in the bed. But anyway, so part of it was research for a friend who can't find relationships. I said I had a lot of women. Part of it was research for a friend who can't find relationships. Like I said, blame the white man. Oh, not a friend. He's not a friend, but like I don't want to say client, but you guys get what I'm saying. I was researching for this dude, like, hey, this is how you find relationships. Because he's like, I don't know how to get relationships. I don't know how to talk to women. And I'm like, dude, look, this is what I did. You know what I mean? Part of it was research for this podcast. Part of it was like, hey, look, I want to tell you guys about the culture in Tanzania. And then look, I'll tell you guys, part of it was just damn fun. Messing with and like part of it, like, yeah. So I say, look, I'm neither proud nor ashamed. I was functionally illiterate in Tanzania and could not operate on a higher level due to a lack of language fluency. Plus, I'm damn sexy. And an easy, and like as his brother said, an easy trick for women seeking a few funds in a harsh economy. You know what I mean? Like if like some women are like, hey man, I need to get some money. This motherfucker is an easy, like he's an easy payday. And he lays it right. Like what the fuck? Sexy man lays it right, and he's an easy payday. Like this is like that's like the dream for some women. It's kind of like if you were like you want to be a y'all know Deuce Bigalow, male gigolo, whatever. Where it's like you're a male gigolo, and your whole thing is, look, if a woman, like if you need money and you decide I'm gonna be a gigolo, right, and I'm gonna have sex for money, right? If a woman is good looking and she does the sex right and she pays you, like that's what the fuck you signed up for. Meanwhile, you would still freaking like I don't remember the movie too well, but you would still fuck a horse, not a horse, you know what I'm saying, like a elephant, like a whale of a woman, like because you still need the fucking money, but like the goal is, oh man, wait, this is a fucking this person, like yeah, like this person's paying, like okay, that's kind of like what I was like to these women. It was like, damn, like this motherfucker's paying, so that's what it was. As long as I realized, like I said, as long as you aren't hurting anyone or everyone has consent, I don't concern myself with sex or human interactions. I brought pleasure and money. If that's what women wanted, they got it. If women had higher ambitions, I also supplied for that too. You know, if women had higher ambitions, I also supplied for that too. So if she wanted to own a business, I gave her a high risk loan. The language gap was a valuable learning experience for me and my son. I can't regret this as long as there are no diseases. Now, I'm going to go a little more about that. I said, look, Patel Tep warns not to sleep with a woman who is in the house of a man who you are a guest of. Because again, I didn't really fully understand. Because like I said, I didn't watch this Nigerian film till later, so I didn't really understand where this Nigerian brother was coming from. But I was like, like I said, I had no television. I was just sitting down in a fucking airplane for 18 hours straight. No, one of them was 10 hours straight. The other one was like 6-7 hours straight. But it's like, it's boring, you know what I mean? Like, it's boring. And like, yeah, anyway, so Patel Tep warns not to sleep with a woman who is in the house of a man who you are a guest of, i.e., not his wife, daughter, or mother. Of course, every woman is someone's daughter, so the critical part is to not do so with a man who you are a guest of. I can see someone being outraged over a man bragging about pursuing married women because it shows that he may break Patel Tep's tenet, but they aren't corresponding. As a non-religious person, and I realize this, as a non-religious person, I can't uphold other people's religions. I do respect to a degree, but I don't let it supersede my own beliefs. What's more, the line I said is actually a response men make to women who lie about marriage. You can't tell if she's lying or truthful, but you shouldn't back off at the first or second sign of resistance either. Again, as long as she consents and can consent, and of course, as long as I don't honestly know for certain that she's a married woman, i.e., her husband knows about me. Because see, the thing about the husband knowing about you is that makes it dangerous. So Patel Tep says many men lose their lives from messing with another, like either a man's daughter that you're like a guest of, or a man's wife. I think he's like, don't pursue a man's wife. Because that man will try to kill you, like he'll just try to kill you, Now that right there though is an interesting part of the human dynamic, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Let me see what these other notes are saying. One of them is, we're just displaced and suffering for it. This is all this is out of order, but that's a really important comment. We're just displaced and suffering for it is a quote that I said in this brother's chat room, and he was like, he liked it. Brother Malone, I'm Malone. He's a good brother. But anyway, so we're just displaced and suffering for it. What that means is this: like, realistically, we're not in communities, So one of the songs I have is one of the songs I like that's along the lines of the line I said, the joke I made was, "What's your man got to do with me?" Like, I got a man. Like, the woman's like, "I got a man." He's like, "What's your man got to do with me?" Right? Where essentially she basically shit tests him. She's like, "Hey, I got a man. Like, stop fucking talking to me." And he's like, "What's your man got to do with me?" In the sense of whatever. And another one is like, I said, in an actual community, that's not a good thing to say. You know what I mean? Like, in an actual community where the woman says, "I got a man," you saying, "What's your man got to do with me?" is not a good thing to say. But because we're not really in a community, because we're displaced in that kind of way, it's like, yeah, who fucking cares? So earlier in the year, it's pretty interesting. And this is why I said this is why I said about culture. Like, culture is pretty important, but how I say it's derivative of economics, But like I said, earlier in this year, I was saying how bad it was that we'd sing OPP as a people. So, generally, as I say, as a people, I mean African Americans would sing the song called "You Down with OPP," right? Now, I had no idea what that meant until last year. And last year, I was like, that's the most disgusting thing I've heard, which is, you down with other people's pussy or other people's penis. That's what the fucking song means. It basically means, like, you down with, like, home wrecking, or you down with, like, no, you down with making other people cheat on their loved ones, whether it's marriage or whether it's, dating. It's like, are you down with making other people cheat on their loved ones? And the song goes, "You down with OPP? Yeah, you know me." So it's like back then I would say, hey, that's some low value shit. But then I realized that the values of different people go differently. And so, like I said, in Tanzania, that wasn't like, it was like OPP is fair game in Tanzania. In Nigeria, because this is where this brother's coming from. The brother's Nigerian, right? And we're going to talk about that later. Because I was actually initially underwhelmed by the Nigerian film, but like I appreciate it because, like I said, the brother was so mad, and I could see why. Because in Nigeria, like OPP is not a good, like it's not encouraged. You know, like it would be like, you done with OPP? No, that's fucking terrible. Like that would be how it would sing in Nigeria. You know. like that's what I was saying. Now in Tanzania, it might be like, yeah, you know me. You know what I mean? In America, that's what it was. Yeah, you know me. But in Nigeria, it'd probably be like, no, that's fucking terrible. And that also is a really important, like a really important conversation when it comes to when we talk about Pan-Africanism. Because if the cultures are that radically different or develop that radically differently, right? Like, what does that mean for unity? You know, not just unity, but what does that mean generally when we are blending together? You know, Brother Bakari's laughing at something. Dang, I should have had the window open. What I'm doing is I have another window open, so I can't even tell. Oh, you laughing about the joke, the marriage joke? Yeah, I tell you, man, that's just fire, man. All right. Yeah, we know somebody who can watch the kids. Yo, can you imagine? Like, and the thing is that, like, I'm trying to tell this Nigerian brother, like, I'm like, yo, man, like, I'm not really gonna give this motherfucker my kids while fucking his wife. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, nah, you sick, boy. I'm talking about family building, and you talking about breaking houses. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not really, you know. I'm not saying I wouldn't mess with the lady though. I mean, you know what I mean? You know, I'm still, you know, Mimi Mbwa wa Tanzania. Still, hold on a second. What is with this lady? Hold on a second. Sorry, my son's mother wants to pick him up, and so she says it's gonna be. So you guys remember I started at 11 o'clock. So I say, when are you gonna pick him up? She goes, early afternoon. And I was like, can you give me a time, right? And she's like, I don't know the time. So then now today I'm like, all right, what time are you gonna pick up? She's like, all right, between 12 and 1. I'm like, okay, whatever. All right, it means I probably do my podcast pretty quickly because I don't need her listening in or nothing like that, right? Then all of a sudden I get this text while I'm podcasting. 11:30, okay? What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, like 11:30 is not even in the afternoon. But anyway, let me not even. Let me see. So yeah, like I said, on the flip side we're gonna talk about ethics, because there's a thing that people don't know about me is that I actually used to be an ethicist. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the first things I used to do was be an ethicist. Basically somebody who wrote about ethics. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit more. Let's say, so I said on the flip side, there was a woman in California who was miserably married for a green card. And I'll be honest, I would have had sex with her if I were in California. So like, I'm saying this, that my morals did kind of, or my sexual like how I viewed sex and polyamory and marriage and the sanctity of marriage and all that kind of stuff has waned as I was in Tanzania. But I could admit that even in America, like I had this friend in California who was flirting with me. This woman was flirting with me for a long time. Then finally I found out she was married. But then she would tell me, oh, my marriage is not that good. We barely have sex, blah, 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 blah. Basically she's just like giving the man the cold shoulder. Like he's going without sex for months. And I'm like, that's not even a good thing. I'm trying to encourage her to freaking sleep with the man. But she's like, no, all that kind of shit, whatever. Right. And I'm saying this like low key, like she got married for a green card type shit. She's cute enough. So I'm like, yeah, like low key back then, I would have probably went to California. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have, and the idea is this, that, like I said, with regard to Ptahhotep, like I don't respect the unknown. Like I don't know her husband. He don't know me, and like, yeah, technically if I could, like, because again, it's like I said, it's the community thing. Like, it's like you wouldn't really sleep with somebody in your community, like you wouldn't go to your neighbors, because it's just risky anyway. But like so you go back to what Du Bois said. Du Bois said our problem as a people was that men don't know men. You know. Hold on a second. Let me see what this lady's saying. Um, okay, yeah, she's saying she's on her way. So I might have to. She's actually pretty close. She lives pretty close. But you know, it is what it is. She's just gonna ring the doorbell. I'm just gonna have to pause for a minute, get this boy dressed and all that shit. Hold on a second. All right. So anyway, so I said, yeah, this is dangerous with a man's wife. That's all. You can protect yourself by not doing it or by not getting caught. You know, and it's the same as with stealing or assaulting people. You know, it's not so much that yeah, it's like one of the reasons why you don't wait in the alley to hit somebody with a bat is that you could hit somebody with a bat and then other motherfuckers will kill you for it. You understand? That's one of the reasons why you don't do it. It's not so much, and it's like, or I can say it this way. Well, we're gonna talk about objective morality versus subjective morality, which is something that I'm talking about more, which is that I'm saying, hey, you know what? It's neither good nor bad, right? However, you know, obviously you can elicit a response that will correct you. And actually, it is consistent with the objective morality view. But we're gonna talk about it. In fact, I think this is the objective morality right here. Let me just see if I could. No. Let me see if there's anything else before we get into that, because there's so much things to go into. All right, so yeah. I think we're just gonna go into the objective morality. So I said, look, I had no TV on the flight, so I reflected on the last argument and it reminded of the code of morality I personally authored. Okay, so once upon a time, I recognized morality as objective rather than subjective. But the objective morality was that there were two types of interactions. All right, so simplified, these interactions are militaristic or they are civil. Okay, you have civil interactions and militaristic interactions, right? And they determined what amoral, immoral, and moral was, right? And I was actually supposed to, before I said this, I was supposed to see, because this motherfucker also likes Chat GPT or AI. I wanted to see how good artificial intelligence was at simplifying morality versus amorality versus immorality. Because if it could do it as good as I can, then maybe. No, I'm joking. I know artificial intelligence is brilliant. I ain't gonna hold y'all guys. All right, it's obviously better than like all of us, obviously. But anyway, let's go. What was amoral was civil gain for civil gain. Okay, i.e., it's neither moral nor immoral to buy goods from the market or sleep with a woman because she's beautiful or a man because he's rich. It's neither immoral or amoral. Okay, it's just it's neither immoral or moral to do that. You know, it's just amoral. So amoral means that it's not moral or immoral. It's just amoral. It's just something, right? Now, how do you go to immoral? So what was immoral was using military for civil gain. That means example would be stealing from the market or promising money for sex, then not giving it. Okay? So like if I'm like, hey, look, I'll give you, $40 for this, whatever. I'm not saying that's what I would give, but I'm just saying, I'll give you $40 for some of that punani. And she's like, okay, here's the punani, $40, please. And I'm like, fuck you. Here's $10 or whatever, right? Or whatever, right? Then that's where it's immoral, right? Or it's like, like I said, you go to the market, you say, hey, look, I'll give you $1 for this. I'll trade you gain for gain. That's moral. When it's immoral is when you say, I'm just going to take it, right? Now, what was moral? So moral was using military against immorality, okay? So that, for example, would be catching the said thief or forcing the John to pay. So this was a summary of ethics in the known universe and the root of rhetoric throughout human history, okay? It was fascinating, but also no one would really understand how I explained it in the very, very first book. So there's a book that you guys don't know about. It's published a long time ago, but basically it really explains like morality and immorality and all that kind of stuff. So I think later on, I do try to simplify it even more. I say morality, in a sense, centers around voluntary and involuntary and the capacity to volunteer. Okay? So in the same way, it's like there are voluntary interactions which are amoral. Man meets woman, they date, they sleep together, they have sex, whatever, so on and so forth. they sleep together, they date, they do this, they do that, so on and so forth. And all the time they both consent to their interaction, their engagement. They volunteer to spend each other's time, whatever. In that sense, it's just an amoral interaction, right? When it becomes immoral is when one of them is doing things against, um, like one of them are doing things against their, like they're not volunteering anymore, they're not consenting anymore. That's when it becomes immoral. Okay, that's when it becomes immoral. And then how do you correct it? Is when essentially go after whatever the immoral cause is, which is like a really basic and simplified translation, but it kind of goes back to how you could actually look at this married lady if she really was married, and let's say if I were to engage with her, the fact that she's voluntary, like for instance, she gives me her number, and then we're chatting, like it's not like I'm not like I'm forcing her. It's not like she's not a part of the. It's not like she's not volunteering. You get what I'm saying? Because again, who knows if she's really married? Of course, that was the end of our conversation. So it's possible. Like I don't know why she gave me her number, but she did, and it is what it is. But it's over, right? Anyway, so let's see. I said there was 3 Asian films that I watched. No, so LeBron James actually tweeted out something. We are our own worst enemies, and some people were complaining about that. I don't really care. Let's see. Oh yeah, so one of the Ethiopian women, I said in Ethiopia, a woman kept calling another woman asking if I killed her yet. So basically, this woman comes into my hotel room, and I give her, she's ready for the D, but her friend saw me before I, escorted her up to my room, and so her friend keeps calling, like for the next, just keeps calling, and finally she picks up, and her friend's like, "Did he kill you?" Right? So like I said, so let me explain this. A woman kept calling another woman asking if I killed her yet. Apparently my comportment, like my demeanor or whatever, screamed that I destroy her in the bedroom. Of course I did. And she said she'll never forget me in her life. We finished with her pleading for me. I think I was giving too much information. I know, I'll just give the fucking information. Who cares? We're pleading for me to ejaculate. And then she was my second woman for that hour. Well, I want to say 2 hours because the other lady gave me an hour. But anyway, yeah, in America, particularly this airport, not even a glance. So yeah, so in America, the women don't even notice you. So I'm in Ethiopia, right? And these women are talking about me like, oh man, that motherfucker's gonna kill this pussy, right? He was gonna kill. I hope he picks me because he's going to kill this pussy, right? That's what they're saying. They're like, yo, this motherfucker's walking around like he knows what the fuck to do, right? In America, because I finally came to the airport, women not even giving you a glance, and like I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, I'll talk about that right now. The American woman struggles to not make eye contact, right? And she struggles to not smile. She's not as inviting to strangers. So, like for instance, when I was with the Ethiopian woman, I was actually walking one of them out, and then the other one saw me walking this woman out, and as I was walking back in, she goes and says hi. She's like, hey, invites me to a table to have a conversation so that, I could invite her into my hotel. But like, of course, that's probably like her business, that's what she was there for. Anyway, but notwithstanding, she's still like inviting. And I'm not saying that in the sense of like because obviously in Ethiopia this was the Kudanga situation I was talking about. These women showed up in a 5-star hotel looking for dudes with money, right? And like dudes were petitioning them, who were willing to pay more, if you could believe a word they were saying, right? That said, I was like in Tanzania it was the same thing. Like people are not struggling to not make eye contact with you. Okay, they want to make eye contact with you. They want to engage you as a stranger. They want to hold on a second. It looks like I think my son's mother's here. Hold on a second. All right, Samahani fam. Guy in Hollywood's here. Anyway, he says Hotep with Bakari and pro black perspective. But yeah, Samahani. That means I'm sorry. Like I said, my son's mother just showed up. Usually I tell her not to just show up any random ass time, but well, actually she usually dropping him off today. But you know, she ain't seen him in 3 months. She wasn't with him for 3 months, and you know, I mean, like, you know, I ain't no white man. I ain't gonna hold a mother away from their son. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so that's pretty much that. What were we on? Yeah. So the American woman. So look, she struggles to not smile. She's not in because there was this cute girl in the airport, right? And she's just like I'm invisible. Now again, like I said, I'm highly visible in Tanzania, right? I'm highly visible in Ethiopia. It's not just because there's a fucking American. It's like this is a man who looks like a motherfucking man, you know, compared to the other dudes around, right? In America, like in America, or the American woman just does not fucking see you, right? She's playfully cold. She knows you look at her and wants to engage her, but she faintly smiles, hoping you would engage her, while simultaneously, subconsciously cautioning you from doing so. You know? She doesn't see you. You're 6 feet, muscular, handsome, charming, amazing, and invisible. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, in Ethiopia, it was not the same. In Tanzania, it was definitely not the same. You walk onto a bus, everybody's looking at you. Why? Because you're tall. You know, I mean, obviously I looked much different because I was tall. I had long hair. I also had a little boy next to me, which is like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Right? He got a familiar, you know, you know. But like, you're tall, dark, handsome, you know. And in America, it's like, hey, you know, fuck you, man. Fuck you. Don't look at me. Anyway, I think I didn't really understand the Nigerian guy, so I thought it was like an American or Christian thing. But it wasn't. I think it was a Nigerian thing. Like after watching a Nigerian film, I realized that Nigerians have a certain comportment. And I mean, I also understand why people don't like Nigeria. I'm just messing, brother. All right, this was already mad at me, so I can't say much. Anyway, let me see what I can say about this. So let's see. What's this thing? Let me see. I have this one link. Let me see what it leads to. I'm going to talk about some of these movies I watched, but let me just, because they're like free movies on the airport. The fact that not a single body has to be present for white supremacy to maintain itself isn't common knowledge. Is absolutely tragic and by design. I don't remember. I think I had a comment to this. I don't remember what the comment was though. So, let's see. Yeah, I don't think I saved the comment. I can probably look through. Yo, I'm back in America. I don't like the freaking temperature, but I do like my computer setup and all that shit. That's a breath of fresh air. So all right, let's see. I said watch 2 Asian movies. The first focused on a news anchor who felt superior to her hedge fund millionaire husband for her celebrity status, but it also explored hypnosis and just general Chinese independence. It's not simply relationship drama. So that's the thing I noticed. I was going to tune into a movie. I was like, should I do an Asian movie? Should I do an African movie? And the African movie, the plot was this woman is cheating on her husband, you know? And then the Asian movie was like, here's this news anchor who gets a tip about a woman who's going to do a murder suicide. No, a woman who's going to be murdered by another by a man, and her daughter is going to be murdered. And so, you know, like, what's going to happen? And you're like, whoa, I want to see this, right? So you watch it, and it's like, wow, you know, that's the thing too. That's one thing I want to point out too. Like, they were not emphasizing building a family. You know, like her husband her husband and her were separated, and he wanted to have kids and make a family, and she was like, look, I'm trying to pursue my career. And it wasn't seen as good or bad, just 2 different people. Generally, eventually at the end, I don't know, spoiler, she does have a baby with this man, but it's not like the whole lead up to the movie. And that's the thing too, it's not like propaganda explicitly. But the thing with the news anchor thing, the reason why I said Chinese independence is because that's a people who run their own news station, tell their own news story, and like the whole staff is Chinese, and it's just so, like, the language is Chinese, it's written in Chinese. It's so Chinese that you're like, yeah, that's cool. The second one was Gift of Fire. It explored the genuine attempt for Japan to create a nuclear bomb before America and its loss, but a dramatization in the context of an actual attempt. And then now, and it makes you really think, it makes you realize, look, China, India, Israel, North Korea, Americans, Russians, Brits, and even the French, even South African whites had their scientists and engineers working hand in hand to separate uranium 235 or what have you, and make it into this chain reaction to detonate, to create a massive amount of energy, and 60 years or 70 years later, African people still haven't. African people still haven't set their scientists and engineers to work hand in hand to do what it do with uranium. They still haven't. And so I said, watch an African film, and as anticipated, Untouched, it was called Untouched, within first 5 minutes, says a young lady can elevate in Nigeria through transactional sex, and her job dreams are silly. Now, that was interesting too, because like I said, there's a Nigerian brother who was telling me, hey man, in Nigeria, they don't have that transactional sex thing. And I'm like, bro, I just fucking watched the film, and first fucking 5 minutes, they're like, yeah, you could do that transaction. They're like, hey, girl, you look so good, you could get any man to pay for anything. And she's like, no, why would I want any man to pay for me? I could just get a job and pay for it for myself. Like, his money's gonna run out. Eventually she, not to spoil the fucking story, but eventually she, some married dude is going to just like do the most beta shit you can find. He's just giving her money, like giving her a house, giving her a job, all that type of shit. But anyway, the summary of the fucking movie though is that it was a cautionary tale against infidelity and how it can ruin marriage and ruin lives. So I said it's interesting as a cultural artifact and propaganda, because what I heard from this movie was a lot of, hey, marriage is sacred, family is important, having another person's kid is not what you want to do, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, like I said, I knew this Nigerian brother who was mad about that joke I made, and it's like, I get it. It's like, this is a culture. Nigeria has a culture that is very pro family. Pro sticking together, pro family, pro marriage, pro family, pro marriage. I don't know. Like, I mean, in Tanzania, I can't say whether, like, I can't make a big summary. What I could say in Dar es Salaam, a lot of the women I messed with were single mothers. A lot of them were single mothers. Well, I mean, some of them are married. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, some are married, some have fiancés. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna hold you. Like, some of these women, when the alpha man, ring doorbell, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And not like alpha. Like, that's the thing though. It's like in context. In context, like not alpha in America, not alpha in Silicon Valley, alpha in motherfucking Tanzania. You know what I'm saying? It's like you the fucking man there. You know what I mean? Because like I said, the men have a different sense of masculinity and femininity, or they're just different down there, or wherever that is. If you say down, up, whatever. It was a cautionary tale. So now I watched another Asian film. This was interesting. This time it was a collab with South Korea and China. So basically, the South Korean Secret Service, NIS, abandons the Chinese MSS to die under pretext of only looking out for national interest and personnel. Again, nation time. The race view is archaic, unrealistic, and impractical, except in the sense articulated in my book. Like I said, you got ABC always be closer. So I said in the Book of Power, we talk about race and nations and how nations are run by racial elite. But at the same time, you have to realize that nations are looking out for nations. They're not looking out for races. You know what I mean? So like, let's say, yeah, like that's pretty much it. Like a Nigerian, um, what's it called? Secret Service man, right? Is not supposed to be looking out for Rwandan citizens or Niger citizens or Ghanaian citizens or Ghanaian agents. They're not supposed to be looking out for Ghanaian agents. They're not supposed to look out for Ghana, period. They're supposed to be looking out for Nigeria. You know, so it's not going to be, hey, we're looking out for African. We're looking out for black. We're looking out for African. That's not going to be the mentality when you're on the national level. When you have, when you accomplish nation things, you know, when you accomplish nation things, you're looking out for your national, like for your nation. Like America is not looking out for British folk like that. You know what I mean? Like to a small degree, sure. You know, and in the same sense, to a small degree, the Nigerian person, sure. But realistically, you're looking out for the Americans if you're American. That's how it works. Like if you are America, you are looking out for Americans. That's how it works. Obviously, not all Americans, but you know, you're looking out for Americans. Period. Before you're looking out for other people. Well, kind of. You know, again, kind of. You know, like I said, but we can talk about that. I mean, like I said, you guys go read the Book of Power if you want to know more about the world. So let's see. I think that might be everything. Let me see. She was not inviting as the American woman. Blah blah. In retrospect, morality in a sense about voluntary versus voluntary. So I said, watch it. Yeah. Then I had these images. I can't even show you guys, but basically how difficult Swahili is as a language. Oh my gosh. Like, so yeah, they have conditional markers. All right, I can't even talk about it. Life consumed by news as opposed to routine. Oh yeah, so check out what happened to me in America. I was banned from Tinder. Like pretty damn quick. Like they just said, oh, this is way too sexy, way too pornographic. And it's not like it's pornographic, but it's way too explicitly sexual. And so they just banned me from Tinder. So that's a thing. Last thing I want to say is children in commune. Oh yeah, so I saw this video on the sister's status. I can't even show it, but there's this video where I know I could give you guys a link. No, I can't even because of whatever. But there's this video of these kids in church, you know, or like in an African church, and they're just like, I can't even say an African church. They're in a church in Africa, and they're just like, please, yes, like, hands up, crying, some of them kneeling and crying and sobbing or just standing like, oh, please, you know what I'm talking about, those poses. And it's like, what people want you to believe is that these children are somehow in commune with ancient beings, ancient intergalactic beings, right? Like you want me to believe that these children can somehow connect to this entity of grand scale, or is this just more proof that children can be made to do anything? Children can be made to do anything, yet the choice is made for them to do this. Cry in a fucking building. Cry over fake stories in a building. Like you could make a child do it, because these children would devoutly, I mean, I don't know if they're playing it for the camera, I don't know, but these children would devoutly believe that they're in commune with some ancient being. Like just imagine how amazing that would be. That, like, if there was this God per se, this entity, right? This entity existed allegedly, if not 4 billion years, longer than that, right? And this entity has this creative ability to not just create this universe, but create this earth and create humans and guide them and all this kind of stuff, right? And yet you're now saying that these children somehow can connect with this being that, frankly, most of us can. Because again, right, the reason why we can is because this being doesn't exist. But Like the idea is that, okay, I can't, right? And yet this child, I mean, I wish I could show you guys the video. Maybe I'll show you the next. The reason why I don't even want to try is because the only reason why I don't want to try is because I know that that this has the music in the background, and you already know I don't want to like get any kind of strikes on my account. So, but like I mean, like it's just so ridiculous that we kind of overlook how propagandized we are, and like to what end we are propagandized. Crying in a building you call church is not good propaganda. I would admit that I do like the idea, and the thing is this: I partly want to admit this, but I partly also recognize that it's not true. Some part of me says, hey, you know what I like about these religions is that they tell a man how to be a man in a certain sense, or they tell a woman how to be a woman. They tell a businessman how to be a businessman. Some of them are like, hey man, if you're going to charge, don't charge interest to your brother, charge it to the Gentile. Like that's good. Like I said, worship, it's good. Or the other one is like, hey man, don't beat up your wife. Or it's like, hey wife, hey woman, you're a wife, suck his dick. You know what I mean? Suck his dick, clean, cook for him. Like I like the idea of something telling you as a man or as a woman what to do, how to be. But what I could say is this: where I came from, Tanzania, it was highly religious, very religious country. Everybody was Christian and Muslim. You talking to people, they sound rational and reasonable, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I believe in Jesus and Mary and blah blah blah." Like what the fuck, like what the fuck, That said, the men were so fucking beta there that I even like the women were beta. Like I tell you, I had this one woman. She was Muslim, right? Usually, like in America, it's hard to get it with Muslim women, right? She was Muslim. This one was begging. I told you about this last week, but she was begging to freaking sleep with me, like so badly that she just got naked and stripped on her own while I was telling her to leave, and then just started sucking on me. Like, what the fuck? Too much information, I know, but like, who cares? Right? Like, I'm blacklisted like a motherfucker. Like, who fucking cares? That said, yeah, she's like, and you're like, look, if this is like a Muslim woman, so it's like, yeah, you might have this, like I asked her if she drank. She said, no, she doesn't drink. And then I saw her drinking, or, and then she also lied so much that it's like, yeah, there is, like, I used to believe, hey, Christian man means something, Muslim woman means something, but it really doesn't. There is some sort of, you could read some sort of code of behavior, code of ethics from these sort of books, but you could also read that anywhere. And the reality is that how readings work differs for everybody. Two of us can watch the same thing, read the same thing, and walk away with different ideas, with different beliefs, different transformations. So that said, like, yeah, I'm not even going to hold these things to that kind of standard. It's just a bunch of lies. You do not have some powerful, you're not connected to no powerful, creative, intergalactic, ancient being. That's not a thing for humans to do. Like, because there's nothing like that out there. There's nothing like that out there. And like, yeah, I could say that with absolute certainty, or I could say with absolute certainty that you're not in commune with this one. like you're just not. Like, I just say with absolute certainty that you are not in commune with any sort of no, I mean, like realistically, yeah, like there's nothing like that, period. Anyway, so that's pretty much the entire podcast. So appreciate everybody for coming through, stopping by. You guys can leave some comments, likes, all that kind of jazz. You could watch this video in the background. I kind of need some more watch hours. So I'll think about what I'm going to do. Oh, yeah, I'm going to try to rebrand now that I'm back in the United States. I think I'm going to start doing some productive things. So more information coming out, but maybe I'm going to write some more books. I'm going to do some programming and all that kind of jazz. But first I got to get it adjusted here. I didn't even know how to eat as I was here. But Until next time, Shem Yem Hotep, Anku Jah, Sendab Neb, Amen, Ma'at, Dua Necher. And we back in America. Shit, it's cold as fuck. It's brick.